Welcome back to the last episode in our first series called Getting Started in Marketing. In this episode, we're talking about our goals and how we measure ROI. So, having goals is very important. We all know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Why are they important, though? Everybody says goals are important, but does anybody explain why?
Goals give you a place to end at, and without an end place, a place to take your business, your customers, your aspirations, how do you get there?
How big do the goals have to be? Do they have to be big, hairy, audacious goals?
Big, hairy, audacious.
Do we
Well,
have
they
to eat the
can be.
whole elephant?
They can be big and audacious. I don't see any reason why they shouldn't be. But I think a lot of people make the mistake of, well, this is a huge goal to achieve here. I'm never going to achieve it because it's so big. But, every single step that we take from the time we can walk to the time that we can run, we've got there gradually. We've failed along the way. We've fallen over. We've tumbled, but we've just got back up again. So I think the best way to look at a goal is to project manage it. And until I actually copped that myself a few years ago, I didn't think I could achieve any of the heady heights that I have, or we have, our award-winning podcast, for instance.
Yeah. And I mean, some people do the wrong way round. They do think, okay, my goal is to make 1 million, and forget that to make 1 million, you first have to make £1, then 10, then 100, then 1,000, etc., and work your way up. You can't. Most people don't go out and sell $1 million contract on their first day out. I mean, if you do, that's wonderful.
Go you.
But your goal then shouldn't have been to make 1 million. It should be much bigger. So a way, like I mentioned there, how do we eat the whole elephant? One bite at a time. Okay, so you have to break down your goals, have those big scary goals, because those will keep you motivated for the long term, but also have short-term goals. So our goals for 1 year may roll over into the next year, but we may have goals that are only 3 months long or 6 months long. Melanie and I sit down at the start of every year, every calendar year, and go, right, what are our goals for the next 3 months with our own personal businesses, and what are our goals for the podcast? So we look at those and go, right, over the next 3 months, we want to achieve A, B, and C. And how are we going to achieve A, B, and C? By doing X, Y, and Z.
Exactly.
For each and every one of the A, B, and C.
And it does help with us personally, as part of, making this realistically happen, is through accountability. So we are actually accountability buddies for each other as well.
We are. And it does help, because if you just go, pie in the sky goal, want to make 1 million, or want to have 1 million followers, or want to have, a big mansion in the hills, those are nice goals. But without some way of getting there and somebody to keep you going, did you send those emails? Did you make those phone calls? Did you post that content? Did you follow up? Did you do your X, Y, and Z in order to make, to make the next step towards those goals? Then you're just going to forget about it, or go, like Melanie said, oh, it's far too difficult. I'll never make it. I'll never be able to achieve it. I failed on the first step, so therefore I failed it all. So having that person there can help you to get one foot in front of the other, step by step.
And I know this has been overly used, but creating SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. I always used to think that this is, we hear that all the time. But they do actually work. They do actually work.
There's a reason why we hear them all the time, because, they work, So being specific in your goals, having that big one and then breaking it down, that's you being specific.
And
Uh-huh.
the measurable part is one of the things we're touching on here
Yeah.
as measuring your return on investment, ROI. If you don't know how it's working, why it's working, where it's working, when it's working,
When it's not
then,
working.
well, when it's not working, yeah, then you're just, well, you're running the risk of flogging a dead fish.
Is it not a horse?
Yeah.
Anyway, I thought I was flogging a dead horse. We don't want to flog any of the dead stuff.
No.
We want to know how we're getting to our end goal and measuring the ROI, your return on investment. And that can be, people often think of investment as money spent.
Yes.
But your investment can be your time, because your time is one of the most valuable things that you have, because it's the one thing that you cannot get back. It is the one thing that is infinite, not infinite. It is the opposite of infinite. It is, can't remember the word, but it is, it's not infinite. Okay. It
Yes.
is short. It is finite. Why was that so difficult to remember that word?
Ah!
It's literally in the infinite part. Anyway,
Yes.
your time is a huge part of the investment that you're doing. Your equipment that you use, if you need a new laptop, that's not just an expense, it's time, it's effort, it's energy, it's moving everything from one laptop to the other. It's making sure that you're not going to be spending more than you need to, or having more software or hardware on it than you need. It's a lot of things to think about. But your investment, number one, is your time.
Yeah.
That's the time you spend making your goals, the time you spend executing your goals, the time you spend making your content, figuring out your strategy, figuring out your mission, your vision. Everything else we've talked about in this series is your time. It is your knowledge as well. That's something else that you're investing in, whether it's retraining, coming up with more things. And Melanie and I are both in groups where we receive training. Aren't we, Melanie? You're in one that you're advertising today.
Yes, well, I thought I'd mention it. Thank you for the lead up. This is Rebels, and this is part of Andrew and Pete from Atomic. And I was on the first cohort of Rebels, so we were getting some sort of one-to-one training with these guys. It was an absolute gift. Well, it wasn't, I had to pay for it, but the information was an absolute gift, and it made such a difference. So I had to measure, what do I feel the return on investment would be for me to do this? And for a long time, as Esther was saying, I'd been investing money in and time in tools, equipment, resources, and I wasn't really investing in myself. I had to invest time and money and attention on myself. And so in this particular instance, as part of Rebels, I had to measure the amount of money I was paying out for the course and the time with the boys as, will this be something that will help build and grow my business? And it was.
Yeah.
So return on investment can be measured in so many different ways. Okay. So as we said earlier on, it's project management. And let's say if you've got a trade stand or a shop or something like that, you've got to make sure that you've got enough income and growth to go over and above. So you've got to remain in the black after you've paid your accountant, rent, petrol fees, tolls, all sorts of things. And that's another way of measuring ROI as well.
Yeah. But some people put off starting some of those activities because of the fear of not having the money. Okay. So in the example there you give, renting, some people put off renting an office because they don't feel that they can, cover it for at least 6 months period. Other people grab that at the very first instance and recognize that getting out of the house, getting out of their daily activities Yeah, you're one of them. Even without knowing that that cushion is there of payment that you're going to have to make, and it forces them or pushes them to reach the next goal faster of increasing income, because now we know we have to pay a rent. Now we know we have to pay extra petrol fees. Now we have to pay car parking. Now we have to pay XYZ. That it works out in their favor because they push themselves to reach the next goal of, well, if I'm just sitting at home or at the kitchen table or in the home office, I'm not as productive. How do I increase productivity? By jumping, taking that jump into the office, taking that jump of having to pay an amount of money that you maybe don't even have right now. But it could be the jump that you need to take to become more productive, to therefore see more income coming in, to get that return on your investment of, well, instead of putting on 4 loads of laundry at home, I was able to close 4 clients. So therefore, win-win.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Just this morning before we started recording today, I ended up emptying all the bins in the house and cleaning the sinks. And I have no idea why I did that.
Because you were there.
Exactly. So I just had to get out. During the lockdown, I still had my office because I just couldn't stay at home and work. I just couldn't. So there's just some people who are capable of doing it. My husband, for instance, he works from home. I don't know how he does it. He's still in the house. I mean, at least you have your shed.
We haven't.
Before.
We have a garage. We work out of the garage now.
That was my phone falling off. Oops.
But yeah, we have a garage that we work out of. It was already conditioned before we moved into this house that it's got no garage door. There's double glazed windows. There's lots of space. But yeah, my husband works in here quite happily, and I actually prefer still working in the house.
Well, that's because you're in the same room.
Yeah, no, yeah. But you need to figure out what will work for you. And it could be like everything else we've said during this series. It could be a matter of trial and error. It could all depend on your circumstances. That fabulous phrase of how do we do it? Well, it depends. So figuring out your goals can be another trial and error, hit and miss. But if you don't set your goals, you'll not know what you're aiming for. You'll not know how you're going to get there until you put in your final destination. You can figure out the modes of transport on the way. You can figure out the payment methods of how you're going to reach things along the way, but set your goals and have them, like we were talking mission and vision statement, have them somewhere visible to you that you can say, I want to make 1 million. I want to have 1 million followers. I want to go on 4 holidays a year. It could be personal goals. It could be business goals. Any goals that you have, then break them down into, in order to be able to do that, I need to have XYZ. In order to go on 4 holidays a year, I need backup help in the form of a VA or a paid member of staff. In order to go on 4 holidays a year, I need to make £1 million. In this climate, you do. And how do I do that? By hiring more people and then figuring out how we're going to pay their salaries, because they're going to be bringing in more work, and I'm going to have more work for them. And it's the whole, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Maybe both.
I hope we've been able to encourage you in this series to get started. There is so many nuggets of gold throughout this that you could be enacting today, this week, heck, this month. You remember, you can go over the videos again. You can read the captions. I'm sure you could even get transcripts of these if you tried hard enough. So we really, really want you to get started confidently with as much knowledge as we can, hand over as possible. But if all else fails and you need to ask us questions outside of what's in this series, then please do contact us. First of all, you can visit us at this website, themondaymorningmarketing.com, and you can send your emails and inquiries through there, and we'll get back to you with as much information and resources as we can.
Yeah, and another thing, we have over 200 episodes of podcasts that dive a little deeper into each of these areas. So you can go onto your favorite podcast platform and listen to them to your heart's content. That's it for this series, and we will be back soon with another series. But in the meantime, go to the Etsy store, get yourself some branded t-shirts, a little mug, get yourself some downloads to get started in marketing, get started in podcasting, and we will see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.